Hello again, everybody. I'm Rick Sanchez, and I want to welcome all of you who are watching us from all over the world, whether on regular TV or on portable TV, the app that carries our program for you. As we begin this newscast today, we are monitoring the very latest protests worldwide as there's some new videos out. I don't know if you've seen them, with new accusations of police officers that have surfaced in the deaths of African-American suspects. These are new. These are not about George Floyd, and we're going to have that for you. But we're going to begin with a question that many of you may have been asking yourselves about the current economy. Is the worst behind us? Fair question. When will we see a downturn, and why? I'm going to divide my explanation into three parts, and I'm going to, you know what, let's do this. I want to go over to the wall so I can do this for you. Let me go over here so I can show you what it is that we're seeing as far as some of the trends go, right? There's a debt burden in our country right now. We told you about this before. It's like no other ever experienced in our nation's history. Household debt is above $14 trillion. That's how much the average American, someone like yourself, may owe, right? So let me try and break this down for you into three key parts that many of you may find, well, relatable. That's why we put this line graph up here for you. And I want to start with auto debt. It's been going up now for about 3 straight years. That's the blue line that you see right there. Look at that line. Look at the trajectory that's taken. You know what this number represents right here? That number represents $1.35 trillion. Now I want you to look at student loans. That's represented by that orange line that you see right there. This is important. It's actually going up now. That one's been going up for more than 10 years. And it's at $1.5 trillion. $1.5 trillion. Wrap your head around that number. Now let's add up credit card debt. Same thing, taking place right now. Household debt is what we're talking about. It's standing right now at about $1.1 trillion. Now, just to put all of this into perspective, in 2008, our entire economy had a meltdown, right? Banks collapsed because of a mortgage debt of how much? How much was that debt back in 2008? $800 billion. That's less than any one of these, right? Less than the student loan, less than the auto, less than the credit debt individually. So now let's take a look at something else. Let's look at how many Americans are not drawing an income right now. According to Fortune magazine just today, numbers hot off the press that I just checked, the real unemployment in America right now is probably around 16%. That's a big nut, right? May go even higher for a couple of reasons that we can't get into right now. But let's compare that to the bust that we experienced in terms of unemployment back in 2008. At its worst, absolute worst, unemployment back then was around 10%. So what do we have? I'll tell you what we have. We have Americans saddled with record debt, Americans not getting an income. So then why is the economy still chugging along? And why is Wall Street going up? A lot of people happen to be asking right now. It has to do with the fact that the government has been stimulating the economy, the CARES Act, supplementing income, providing bailouts, et cetera. But you know what's an even bigger part of this explanation? It's a word called forbearance. See that word up there? Forbearance. Here's a big nut. Almost 8% of all Americans have gotten permission from their banks, as mandated by the government, to not pay their mortgages. They're not paying. You wonder how they're getting by? They're not having to pay their mortgage. That's their biggest debt. That's $800 billion. $800 billion in unpaid principal. But here's the question. What happens 6 months from now when that government program runs out and they have to either pay it back or at the very least start paying again? So here's what we have right now. Historic debt, historic numbers of people with no income, and forbearance that allows those folks to not pay their bills until 6 months from now. When they have to do what? Suddenly pay their bills. Then what? We're going to drill down on this because we think it's a very important scenario, and because we like to drill down on stories like this to give you context and perspective. Here on The News with Rick Sanchez, where we believe It's time to do news again.